Yeah, I've set the t-shirt to dark mode, which means it's time to go full throttle into the danger zone. No more granny shifting. We're gonna talk about a controversial topic.
They're discussing a video from an XG orbiter who makes hate videos about X and has a following in his community. There was a lady who made a YouTube video about the streamer awards. She was saying you were hypocritical because you rallied against Aiden streaming porn, but Cutie advertised Fansly. What? Bro, I don't understand. I don't think people understand what hypocrisy is. I think they just hypocrisy is like the cancel culture of our generation, of our side of the internet, where people just straight up just say you're a hypocrite and you're a grifter without understanding what either of these fucking words mean. And they just try to do like random and loose word association to bring things together to be like, well, this is a guy that a lot of people actually hate because a lot of other people have also said he's hypocritical. So I'm just going to tie him into it. I don't even know what the fuck. Why do men who jack off the porn constantly debate its ethics, Lamau? I don't know. Getting drama baited? Hypocrisy just means I don't like you for some reason. Yeah, no, it's like all vibes based for the most part. Yes, it's like learning the word disingenuous or goalpost. Yeah. None of these words mean anything. Like doing magnet word art until you make something that makes sense and sticks. I will tell you this much. If you have no way of like understanding issues as like standalone issues, I don't know what to tell you. You're probably going to find yourself constantly trying to find hypocrisy. It's a great way to cut propaganda, and I use it certainly for that reason. Okay? But I just want to let you know, like, you're being duped. If you are constantly looking for hypocrisy, you're also kind of being duped, especially if it's not genuinely hypocritical, because a lot of genuinely hypocritical shit is oftentimes completely forgotten if the person engaging in that hypocritical action, as a matter of fact, is a liked individual. If you like that person, then you just don't really give a shit.
I have once again gotten myself into some drama. I'm kind of injecting myself into this one, but for some context, if you missed Moist Critical's video yesterday, he talked about some streamer drama that's been going on and gave his take on it. I'll just give you this first little intro.
We're gonna talk about a controversial topic: Fansly advertisements on Twitch.
Now, that's the new hot drama to talk about these days, and originally I wasn't going to say jack shit about this. I wasn't mentioned at all in this video or really in any of the other conversations that I've seen, but it kind of felt like this because the entire conversation has stemmed from the Streamer Awards, my girlfriend's event, and all the Fansly hate has been directed at her, and then me with my chess boxing event that the primary sponsor, the biggest funder of it was Fansly, sleeping soundly, snoozing. So I figured rather than just lie down and imagine none of it's happening, I'd at least give my opinion, my take on it. And if you don't know, for a little bit more context, Fansly is like an adult-oriented site where you can subscribe to get like usually risque, usually pornographic content from creators that you might know because oftentimes those creators are also Twitch streamers. It's kind of like OnlyFans, but they've dominated the gaming space based off their marketing efforts and who is making the content on the website. That's it. That's the skinny of it. You get it. Bing, bang, boom. And it all started because during the Streamer Awards, which was also sponsored by Fansly, this ad was played.
Free trial of some of our hottest creators. On top of that, sign in using your Twitch account and see which of your favorite streamers are already creating adult content on Fansly.
That is a wild ad, straight up. I scanned. That's definitely wild. Okay. And not only is that wild, but like I thought Twitch didn't allow that kind of fucking promo. What the fuck? Twitch literally won't let hot tub streamers post their fucking OnlyFans. Twitch literally won't let hot tub streamers post their OnlyFans, but like I guess when it's a big ticket sponsor, they don't give a shit, right?
It has a whole algorithm dedicated to discovering new content and creators through the
chatters are so funny. They're like, go back. I need to scan. I don't know if you can still do it.
For You feature. Swipe and discover today.
A very tame giggle as if someone came.
Yeah, and people were calling Charlie a hypocrite from this because he didn't admonish it, but he did admonish Aiden Ross showing porn to his viewers. And
wait, you didn't actually know what the drama was about? No, man. I literally have no fucking clue. I don't know how I missed this cut of drama. It seems like you guys did a pretty good job of not like letting me in on it, not keying me in on it. You are part of the drama. How am I part of this drama? Okay, so here's what I don't understand. How would I be part of this drama What the fuck? Okay, listen, can I just say something? The fact that I'm involved in this drama, if I am involved in this, I don't even know that I was. You guys keep saying I am. Shows me that once again, all roads somehow lead back to Gamba. I feel like the worst mistake of my streaming career wasn't like saying America deserved 9/11 and then describing what I mean by that. It was that I spoke out against gambling, I think, on the platform, because now it's like whenever anything happens completely unrelated to me or unbeknownst to me, people are just like, wow, Hasan's silence on this matter is deafening. And it could literally be something that I have no idea about. You know what I mean? And they'll just be like, wow, seems like Hasan called out gambling, but not this. That's kind of weird. Very clearly, he's just, avoiding talking about it. The gambling debate with you, Train XU, and Ethan really was a cultural reset, to be honest. Yeah, it's just like things have gone so south since then. The original video was rage bait, and you usually say no free cloud. That's probably why people didn't bring it up to you. Oh, that's good. I actually do like that. Thank you for doing that, by the way. Keep up the good work on not getting me to see like random idiots. As I'm saying, Elise's like, here, watch this video. No, man. No. I will be staying away from dumb shit that breaks my fucking brain, okay? On your part of the drama because that girl who made the original hate vid made a huge part of you for some reason. You have to watch that original vid for the context, but it's super hateful. Saw it on XQC stream, and she's an avid XQC hate/love watcher. I actually used to think she was an AI, for some reason, I wonder what reason that could be.
Charlie basically spends 12 minutes telling you 12 different ways why those are not the same thing. And then at the end also adds on that I also don't think it's okay to have Fansly as a sponsorship. So really, Charlie did nothing wrong in this situation. I'm watching.
What the fuck is this? The Hollywood of Twitch? Yo, listen. Can I just say something? Okay. The moment this is a meme, right? Please tell me this is a meme. Please tell me this is not serious. If someone made a fucking meme like this, they immediately need to log off and get a healthy dose of lithium. Okay? Like, what the fuck? I want to go back to a world where like people that did stuff like this was laughed at. You know what I mean? Like Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia screaming about Pepe Sylvia. Like that was, you were supposed to laugh at that. You were supposed to go, haha, that's a crazy person, right? Not go, hold up, let him cook. He's got some good fucking ideas, as a matter of fact. I think I'm going to go along with Charlie's Pepe Sylvia takes. Nothing is more serious than this, I suspect. What the fuck? Somewhere along the line, we just decided like the most insane person on the internet probably has some good ideas. We should definitely always take them seriously. It's cringe takes that you've heard before about Hollywood streamers protecting each other. Here you can see some of the top dogs of Twitch who happen to be YouTube streamers kissing one another. Excuses that porn is ruining the fabric of society. Seems like he's taking it seriously, at least as far as he can use it as a defense for Gamba, in my opinion. What the fuck? Moderation. XU started this drama and said yesterday that Fansly was worse than Gamba because it's ruining the fabric of society. That's how people brought you up. Again, worst mistake of my life was speaking out against gambling sponsorships from cryptocurrency, unhinged, unregulated gambling casinos that are built outside of like a shed in Curacao.
Watching this, I'm eating my popcorn. I'm like, yeah, they are different. I do think showing porn directly is different than a website that could link porn. And then he was like, but Fansly sponsors are also bad. And I was like, oh, son of a bitch, I do those a lot, in fact. Now, to wrap up real quickly the Streamer Awards thing, here's Cutie reacting to the ad.
On top of that, sign
Probably should have seen these ads before he played them.
in using your Twitch.
Yeah, that ad is definitely, I mean, it makes sense. That ad is not great, okay? That's not a good ad. It's a bit much. A bit ridiculous that they literally were like, here, scan the QR code so you can go and look at fucking all this other shit. Now, here's the major reason. Here's the major difference though. there's supposed to be some level of, I assume, I've never been on Fansly. I've also never been on OnlyFans, contrary to popular opinion, despite my advocacy for sex work and sex workers in general. I would suspect that there's some level of paywall or something that stops you from, enjoying. Why is everybody capping? I talk about literally jerking off to Overwatch porn. Why would I lie about this? Do you think there's something that I have to hide with respect to consuming OnlyFans and Fansly content? Like, this is what I don't understand. Like, why would I lie about that? I tell you what I look at. I think that when you have a Super Bowl ad that's for Bud Light, right? There's a level of control there. Obviously, it's even harder to go and acquire alcoholic beverages, right? Because you have to go to a liquor store. There's way more regulation to accessing alcohol than there is to accessing pornographic material on the internet. Okay? You are literally subscribed to my OnlyFans. I think you are being duped by someone. But one level of regulation, at least back in the day when there was alcohol promotion, is they are supposed to look at your demographics. They're supposed to look at your demographics and look at the percentage of your demographics that's over the age of 18, or for alcohol in the United States of America, over the age of 21. So what they're supposed to do in that regard is at least do their due diligence and not work with content creators who have an audience that has, I don't remember what the exact percentage is, but they're not supposed to work with audiences that have a percentage that is like, overwhelmingly under 18. You know what I mean? I think that is what should happen for companies like Fansly or OnlyFans or other pornographic companies that are doing ads. Do I have an issue with a porn sponsorship, a porn company sponsorship? No, I don't. Do I think that porn is corrupting the minds of the youth? No, I don't. I have talked about pornography as long as it is done by consenting adults. Okay? There is no issue with that. I mean, yeah, the fucking 3% of the audience was under the age of 13. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Exactly. Isn't this community loves this version mostly 20 to 24 now? 2018 was a long time ago. Yeah, 3% of the audience is under the age of 18. 3%. There you go. That's it. That makes the most sense. No one is putting their age below 18 when creating an account. I guess that could be true, but there's no real way of getting around that beyond it. You're fucking delusional if you say porn doesn't fuck your brain up. I cannot speak on what unfettered access will do to developing minds. What unfettered access to internet pornography will do to young minds, I don't know. It probably isn't good, though. I agree. I don't think porn fucks your brain up, though. No, I don't. That's a ridiculous generalization, and more so probably a self-report. Having said that, I think having unfettered access to internet pornography, especially at ages that are like super young, the moment that you have a phone in your hand, that's can't be healthy. I don't think that that's healthy. I will admit to that. Because like, I wish I had more access to porn when I was younger, right? When I was growing up, but I don't know what those consequences might have been. But I'm being overly sensitive and overly fair here, like way more charitable than others would be. However, access to any kind of content that is completely unfettered as a young adult with a developing mind is going to be bad. Literally, like anything. I would go so far as to say even video games, TikTok, social media in general, and numerous other points of consumption will break the brains of young adults and developing brains in general, for sure. I'm only like a year or two older than you, but I had to jack off the Wild Things too. Like all my friends are wait for a 90-minute download on Kazaa Lite, then immediately delete it after. Yeah, I mean, I'm old enough that I've downloaded a significant amount of malware into the fucking family computer thinking that I'm getting pornography on the internet from like Ares or LimeWire. You know what I mean? Like back in my day, we used to walk uphill both ways to school type shit. But like literally, it was really, really hard. And that was when it got easier. Pre-LimeWire, it was like you had to find it. You know what I mean? One of the homies in your class had access to like some pornographic material. Bro, I went analog. I fucking jerked off to like Denise Richards on what was it like? It was like a nude spread of Denise Richards on an FHM or something. So that's not like you will not understand that, okay? My most classic jack off to the sex scenes in W.B. Griffin World War II novels. What the fuck? That's insane. Bro, when you have to save that one photo on the floppy disk? No, I never did floppy disk. So I don't have the answers to that. I don't. I'm being super clear and super honest with you. I actually don't know. I don't know what the consequences are. And I don't know what the answers to it are. Like, I don't know how to regulate it beyond ensuring that, like, if you have any kind of pornographic material that you are selling, that your audience should be above the age of 18. Obviously, there's always going to be people under age of 18 that are watching regardless. But I mean, like, look at the audience demographics and ensure that it's at least over like 75 to 80%. You know what I mean? Because it's, you know, it's impossible for it not to be. Kind of like thinking that the 18 plus link that you click on for adult content is you know, not clickable by people who are younger. Of course it is. Thoughts on only being able to access porn sites if you prove you're over 18 somehow? I think that's also kind of wild. I know that that's the direction that we're going towards. But like, I don't know if you want to upload your fucking license to a goddamn website. You know what I mean? That's what you do in Louisiana now. If you want to access porn, I think in the state of Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken, you literally have to upload a photo ID. Like, I don't feel safe or comfortable doing that. So I don't know if that's a good solution either. But let's get back to this.
She's honest there. She said she didn't look at these ads before they're played, which sometimes that's how sponsors operate. But me watching them, I'm like, oh, okay. So chess boxing was presented by Fandly. Title sponsor, literally in the title itself. I had a whole dramatic reveal.
What's going on in the middle of the ring?
Look up. Because we have the Fandly Sky table.
Holy smokes!
I mean, you can't get more dramatic. Look at me.
This table.
I think it's also because it's cutie. You know, she's controversial. She's a woman. So, like, that's part of the reason. Germa has probably been sponsored by Fansly as well. I have never been sponsored by Fansly. I don't have an issue with Fansly or OnlyFans or Pornhub, obviously. I've talked about this pretty openly. But I would suspect that the real reason is because, like, people care more about valid, like, targets that they consider easy to attack. XQC has been sponsored by fucking Fansly. Yeah, right? XQC literally has been sponsored by Fansly. Juice, the show that he did was sponsored by fucking Fansly, no? Juiced. XQC did a show and partnered with Ludwig that was sponsored, and he had no idea what the sponsor was or what it entailed.
We'll be where the magic happens, not just for Super Smash Bros.
Look at this.
I had people cheering for a goddamn table. And that's not where it's ended. I mean, obviously, Germa's used Fansly before, which he was on the stage with me. Fansly instant replay from his baseball event.
Just rips the cover off that ball.
And then in a show that I hosted with XQC Juiced, I got Fansly as the sponsor. That was the main sponsor that we were able to secure. Originally, the sponsor that I used to use all the time, the one that would always be reliable for me, was Coinbase. Coinbase sponsored my Mogul Money. They were supposed to sponsor XQC's Juiced, and XQC signed off on that. He was like, yeah, I love Coinbase. And then everybody was like, crypto's way too cringe. And Coinbase let go a lot of people, and they were struggling, so stopped using them as a whole. But here's a point to talk about. What is okay and not okay to use as a sponsor? And the answer, kind of boring. It's what is aligned with your ethics and morals, what you personally think is okay. And that should be different for everybody. But there's generally like a guardrail, like you're at a bowling alley, but you keep hitting the gutter. So you get the guardrail of what is okay and not okay according.
Porn is better than crypto? Oh, 100%. I think porn is better than crypto. Well, yeah, I will stand by that. I think porn is better than crypto. I think porn is better than gambling, definitely. Like, I don't have an issue with porn at all. I hope that came across as very clear. If we're going to talk about a separate side issue about like easily accessible pornographic material for young minds, and how much young people can access porn and how easily young people can access porn, I don't know what the impacts of that are, but I'm always an advocate for sexual education, and I do believe that it should not be left up to porn, which is just another type of artistic expression and consumption. I think it's like ridiculous. You don't learn how to fucking fly by watching Superman. You don't learn how to do math by watching movies, and you should not learn sex from porn. Porn is just a completely separate thing. Unfortunately, in a society where we do not have adequate sexual education, in a puritanical and otherwise patriarchal society, where a lot of these conversations are cast aside, not talked about, seen as a taboo, we do not have the adequate sexual education, so people do turn to porn and see it as like educational. Porn, on the other hand, and this is outside of the boundaries of heteronormativity, but porn, on the other hand, can sometimes be liberating for queer people with respect to learning about their identities and getting more comfortable within their own identities. This is a very commonly forgotten aspect of porn, and even then, it should not be left up to porn. It should be done through regular conversations, having open and frank conversations that parents should be encouraged to have with their children, and also on top of that, learning at schools. We do not have that reality right now as it stands, but that would be the systemic solution to any kind of additional complications that porn could possibly create. So that's it. But I do think that the concept of like porn sick, like these people are porn sick, these people have rotted their fucking brains, it's something that I see in Zoomers a lot. And I think that is perhaps coming from the like I said, unfettered access, unrestricted access to pornographic materials from a very early age. And some people, unfortunately, do not know how to handle that. They do not know how to control themselves, and they do not know how to handle that, which is where regulation should come into play. Some form of regulation. Okay?
To like the public conscious. The way I determine it is the same way I just said it. It's what aligns with my ethics and morals. So it's kind of subjective. But I'll tell you before I jump into exactly what I'm cool with and not cool with about my ethos as a whole. Because when I switched over to YouTube, I made a specific mental switch that I would no longer get money directly from my viewers. And I put that in quotes because at the end of the day, I still only get money because of my viewers, but I get them from their views and their attention rather than their wallets directly. And before that, most of
I have a fucking counter to this. I think subscriptions are significantly better as a form of revenue generation. Not only is it more consistent, but it also leads to significantly more autonomy with respect to editorial control than relying on mega corporations to give you money. Here is one aspect where myself and Ludwig and even XQC, who I've talked to about this particular thing, actually are at a disagreement. Okay? I do not agree with that. I think that, I mean, it's great. For someone like Ludwig, for someone like XQC, that might be great. Okay? Ad revenue is pretty good. I would much rather maintain my editorial control and maintain my autonomy by getting subscription-based revenue. That's it. That has been my day one approach to this subject. Subs are why you shouldn't be in this drama. You don't take sponsor dollars. Yeah, that is part of it. I rarely ever do sponsorships. I oftentimes turn down massive budgets, massive sponsorship opportunities. I've talked about some of them recently. specifically one about poker. But yeah, I don't do it, but that doesn't mean that I don't have an. It doesn't mean that I don't have an opinion on the matter. You still do ads? Shut the fuck up, lol. Yes, I have a contract with Amazon. This is true. I have an exclusivity contract with Amazon because the platform that I primarily stream on is this one, Twitch. I have made this decision after thinking about it long and hard and considering that this is like the best platform for me right now in this particular moment to be on. That's it. You know, that's an entirely different conversation that we could be having, but this is not what we're talking about. What I mean by the sponsorships is not ads. Sponsorships is when you get a native advertising opportunity by directly talking to a brand, oftentimes conducted by a manager or some ad agency or maybe your agents. Okay? A lot of streamers do a combination of all three. They have subs, they run ads, and they have sponsors. XQC is a great example of this. He does all three. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think that there's anything wrong with sponsorships, by the way. Let me just make sure that people understand. Let me be clear. There is nothing wrong with getting sponsorships, okay? That does not mean that there are certain sponsorships that I would consider to be not great or even outright unethical. Obviously, if British Petroleum was sponsoring streamers specifically to say that global warming is actually not an issue and you shouldn't worry about it, I would say that that is an unethical sponsorship. Okay? I think that that's not an ethical sponsorship. If you're doing a sponsorship for an unregulated crypto casino that is incredibly easy to access, no matter what age you are, but very difficult to take money out of, I would say that that is an unethical sponsorship. Okay? Raytheon. Getting sponsored by Raytheon to promote their latest missiles would be an unethical sponsorship. So, that's hot take. Ubisoft is just as bad as British Petroleum. Yes, I do not agree with that take. I love that. That is a take that you could only arrive at if you are so permanently brain broken by just being I don't know, Haas, it's debatable. Okay. No. No, you're right. Ubisoft is worse. They ruined gaming, which is significantly worse than fucking British Petroleum ruining the planet. Anyway, let's continue.
Of my money came from subscribers or donations. But since I've switched over to YouTube, I changed all of my subscribers or memberships to $1. And I stopped all donations. They're all capped at $10. And I don't even get any of those dollars anyway. They go directly to my moderators. It just felt weird to me to receive dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of dollars from an individual when I know I'm doing very well because YouTube signed me a big old paycheck. Thank you, Susan. Please sign it again. That's the gist. So I would rather be getting like a few pennies for your views and for your attention from different sponsors, from YouTube ad rolls, than I would money from you directly. Does that make sense?
I would love to see what Ludwig's attitude towards subscription revenue will be if the new CEO of YouTube doesn't, re-up his contract. For the record, I personally think that they would be delusional not to re-up Ludwig's contract. I think he's fucking great. He's a catch. He is a brilliant content creator. I will never say this to his face. If you clip this and show this to him, I will deny it. I will say it's AI. Okay? He is a massive pickup for YouTube, and he is a brilliant content creator in the space, and I appreciate all the stuff that he does. Having said that, however, if he were to lose the fat YouTube contract he currently has that covers everything and then some, I suspect he would not have this exact same approach as it pertains to generating revenue from subscriptions. Why'd you give away your defense? What do you mean?
That was a switch I made, which, by the way, people I think are more and more making a decision that they don't like advertising. They don't like free stuff. Maybe they prefer a paid subscription service where you don't have to watch ads. That might be like a cultural shift, which I would just have to adapt to. So anyway, let's get to my ethics and morals of what I think is cool, what I think is not cool. Why did I take a fancy sponsorship? If you guys don't know, it's kind of a downturn right now. There's not a lot of people who are out and about trying to sponsor events, at least not as many as there were a year or 2 years ago. It has dried up a lot. So Fansly has been one of the more reliable sponsors to work with. And honestly, I've been talking to them about sponsoring more events later this year. So, I did say that I'm only guided by my ethics and morals. That was kind of a lie. I'm also guided by what the viewers would think is cool. For example, a sponsor wants you to look at their ad to maybe sign up for it. But if you guys all collectively decided, or the majority did, that the sponsor I'm using is super cringe, well, then it'd be a failure of a sponsorship. You guys would all shit on it. The sponsor would be upset. They wouldn't be happy with me. I wouldn't be happy because I'm not succeeding in creating a broadcast that's sustainable that I can do again in the future. So I would stop doing it. So there is another guiding principle, and that's all to say that your voice matters in this situation. If you're like, hey, Ludwig, Fansly's too far, or hey, Ludwig, I don't like when you did it with Coinbase, that'd be chill. In fact, that's part of why I stopped using Coinbase in the first place. Now, for me, maybe this is my European background. I care less about porn. I care less about nudity.
My European background. Oh my God, motherfucker, you grew up in New Hampshire, dog. It's your libertarian roots that is causing you not to care about porn. Yo, this yee ass motherfucker puts on a turtleneck, has his hair all coiffed, and he goes, maybe it's because of my European background. It's like maybe that is the reason. Who knows? I like the tete, retro tete. It's very nice. He said maybe it's because of my European background. Yes.
I don't have this in my mind. A group of kids.
But he's not wrong though. It is, Americans are insanely puritanical, and it's very odd. Like, it is, like, the rest of the world looks at it and goes, that is kind of weird. Okay, it's true. Like, anyway.
Kids who I'm concerned about saving, and that's how I decide every moral or ethical decision, is what these group of kids that are imaginary would care about. We should stop gambling because of the kids. We shouldn't show anything that's adult content because of the kids. We shouldn't advertise alcohol. I shouldn't do drinking streams because of the kids. I don't give a fuck about the kids. I don't cater my content directly towards kids. I do a lot of gambling. I do a lot of drinking. I do a lot of swearing. I
for the record, I don't disagree with this. But this is very New Hampshire libertarian, by the way. Live free or die ass motherfucker talking about how he's European. Okay? Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree with this. It's like the idea that, like, oh, it's like fucking, especially if you have content that is not supposed to be tailored towards children, then, like, the idea that, like, oh, dude, think about the children is fucking ridiculous.
Say that if you're a kid, I'm a channel that you should necessarily watch. I maybe this one because it's more drama, it's more straightforward. But my main channel, yeah, I get it to some debauchery. I used to take a poker sponsor. I only stopped because not my ethics and morals, but it would be too hard to argue against sponsored gambling, specifically for slots, and then still allow sponsored poker, which I view as different. That's a different line to me, which some people might call me crazy for.
I don't even think that's all that crazy either, for the record. Gambling is still gambling. But yes, poker is still poker. I would put in a totally different category.
The way I see it is sponsored gambling, like slots or blackjack, has a house edge. You are guaranteed to lose money. It is an inevitable fact. The longer you play, the more money you will lose. And sponsored gambling is a little weird because I'm getting paid by this sponsor to gamble money I normally would not gamble. And then I would occasionally get wins I would not get and celebrate them as if they are as legitimate as any other one.
Like, even blackjack, I would put at a different, as someone who gambles, okay? You guys know this. I like gambling. I'm very haram, okay? I personally like gambling. I personally like drinking. I do all of this stuff, right? as far as like what I have done throughout my experience, I've done a little bit of slots. Actually won a lot of fucking money, weirdly enough. Do not do it, obviously. More money than I have ever gambling in my lifetime, fucking playing blackjack. But I would say that slots is the most on steroids. You're basically giving money to the fucking. You're basically giving money to the. You're basically giving money to the casino directly versus blackjack, which is still you're giving money to the casino directly, even though there is more skill involved to a certain degree. To poker, where you're not giving money to the house, you're literally giving money to whoever the fuck is significantly better than you at poker. So yeah,
I think that's weird. I think all sponsored gambling should stop. Having said that, I've never been against gambling content as a whole. If you go back to any of the videos I made about gambling, I always said end sponsored gambling, not end gambling. I love poker. Poker is one of the main games I played in college. I allegedly ran an illegal online poker ring for a while. And so I took poker sponsorships because you're playing against another human. And oftentimes when I was sponsored, it's because the house takes a rake, so they get a little bit of money, but you can still be a very winning player if you have studied more. And of course, you have luck and variance on your side. Anyway, but that's kind of where my line is. I don't take a lot of sponsors for things that I'm against using. That's kind of where I make my line, right? It's like if I wouldn't play this gotcha game, then yeah, I probably shouldn't play it on stream for 2 hours because it's a little disingenuous. But sometimes I also break that too, right? I was sponsored by G Fuel for a while, but I was still drinking coffee every morning. Now I'm no longer sponsored by them because I think they're kind of a piece of shit company. But a lot of the streamers who are sponsored by G Fuel don't even drink that shit. It's way too much caffeine and taurine, and they just get a little cup of coffee in the morning, and then they pretend to drink G Fuel. Is that chill, right? What about people who are sponsored by...
I'm not even kidding. This is what I used when I was in Vegas. When I was in Vegas, when I was at the casino, I carry this in my wallet everywhere I go. The fact that this man thinks that I have it out for him is insane. I literally carry this everywhere I go. It's in my wallet every fucking day. Okay? And when I was playing slots for the first time in my entire fucking life, I would constantly put this and go, I'm going to get it twisted. And I would flip it to get it twisted. And I would place it on the button and I would hit it. Okay? I'm a very superstitious person. You guys know this. Turkish quality. I'm sorry. I'm a very superstitious person. I keep this with me at all times. Okay? And I literally believe that it brings me luck. I would smack this fucking thing on the button when I'm playing slots. So the idea that this dude thinks that I fucking despise him, thinks that like I hate him or I've had it out to get him from the jump is additionally hilarious. But, you know, it is what it is. Okay? Anyway. You're allowed to have one insane belief. Exactly. Which is that. That is my one insane belief. Hasan, train is down millions? Yes, but it helps me win millions. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, let's get back to this video. Ludwig looks very sad. I don't know what's going on.
Gotcha games. You know, do you think that's chill? What about VPN services that overhype their quality? What about free to download extensions that save you deals but might also sell your data? Is that chill to advertise? I think the reality is that everybody will draw the line right below what they do and then maybe admonish everything below that line as well. And everything above that line is okay with them and they have no problems with. But the power of the viewer is to change that line. So if you see a streamer or creator that you like, that you think is being a little too liberal with where they push their line, then you tell them to lift that line. You tell them to get a little more strict. Hey, I don't like it when you have Fansly as a sponsor. I don't like it when you have Coinbase. I don't like it when you have a VPN. That's all very legitimate things to feel as a viewer. And the feedback, I promise you, is always read. And whether it's acted on or not is to the judgment of the streamer. And I'm an open guy, so I'm down. I'm down for a conversation to figure out what's what. In my mind, an adult-oriented site doesn't bother me. I think it's fine. I think porn is chill and people can look at porn, and a site like Fansly where the creator directly profits off of it as opposed to all the shit that happens on the more conventional sites like Pornhub is a wholly good thing. And I don't generally mind doing it. I don't generally cater my content towards kids, and I don't consider the kids when I'm making my content. When I'm making a literal event that people are supposed to punch each other in the face, where half the time I'm getting drunk on stream or taking a gummy and playing Super Autopets, I'm not thinking about the kids. I'm not like, oh, should I be a good influence here? All I'm trying to do is be a good person to the world and make things that I find entertaining and I watch. That's it. So anyway,
yeah, I mean, I understand why he's saying that. I get that. I still am kind of unsure as to what the fuck's going on with respect to like the perceived hypocrisy. But the one thing that is the worst thing you can do on the internet, remember, is be perceived as a hypocrite. Okay? Hypocrisy only matters because it's vibes based. If people are uncharitable to you, they will say you're hypocritical. If they are charitable to you and like your content, they will overlook even if you are actually hypocritical. Ultimately, none of it matters. It's basically just a gotcha, okay? And that's it.
Fansly advertisements on Twitch. This is actually a war that I've been drafted into and tossed into the front lines, so I've been catching fire and getting called out, labeled a hypocrite, and morally flexible when it comes to things my friends do that I call others out for. So I kind of want to talk about this entire subject here because I feel that it's just a load of dirty barnacles to call me hypocritical when it comes to Fansly advertisements. So allow me to show you to your table and deliver your entree of drama that you've ordered. So, the situation in a nutshell. A couple weeks ago, there was the Streamer Awards that happened on Twitch. I was unable to attend them in person, so I received permission from QT Cinderella to watch party them. This was a massive event that QT Cinderella put together. And one of the advertisers for it, one of the sponsors, was Fansly. So during the stream, a Fansly advertisement popped up, and this was my reaction to it.
A free trial of some of our hottest creators. On top of that, sign in using your Twitch account and see which of your favorite streamers are already creating adult content on Fansly. Fansly has a whole algorithm dedicated to discovering new content and...
Bro, this shit is giving this particular sponsor so much more earned media, by the way. Okay? You missed it? Oh, here. This is where it is. Don't worry. Boop. Just kidding. Don't do it. Don't do it. Anyway, yeah, this part of the fucking conversation is that, like, I think that this is definitely not a good ad. Okay, you know, it's a little ridiculous that you're doing like a direct, like, go over there, your favorite streamers are on there. I mean, everybody kind of knows, but at least like setting up one layer of like inconvenience is probably the right thing to do. You know, etiquette wise, because it is still a you know, platform that makes pornographic material. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's great. You know, good on these ladies for going out and making their own money on this. Do this while they're a whole ass primetime TV ads that mimic blowjobs and shove asses in your face. But yeah, I think the real inconsistency here is with Twitch. If you can't advertise your OnlyFans in your Twitch bio, then this ad is absolutely against the rules. Exactly. I think that, you know, people get mad at advertising putting your OnlyFans on your Twitch bio, but this is like, you know, this is pretty much the same thing.
And creators through the Fansly For You feature. Swipe and discover today.
A very tame giggle as if someone came up and playfully tickled me for a moment. And people were upset because I didn't start spitting and shitting, taking up arms about how disgusting it was that Fansly was being advertised.
You would agree, though, that we should be able to link our OnlyFans and Fansly, right? Well, people already use Linktree for it, and I think that is a very good compromise on the matter. Like, as long as you go to a separate place, like, it's basically about, like, making it a little bit less accessible, right? It's not like a real fucking safeguard or anything like that. And I think that if there was to be regulation surrounding it, it would probably be over-encompassing, and it would most likely be compromising as far as your own personal data or your own personal privacy, right? But at least, like, adding an additional click there makes it a little bit better. Exactly. Any layer of inconvenience makes a difference. What do I always say about guns? Any layer of inconvenience makes it less accessible. That's why the Veterans Affairs used to run ads on this fucking platform about suicidal veterans and how they should buy a gun lock. Okay? Because any layer of inconvenience makes you second guess yourself. Any layer of inconvenience makes a big difference. Okay?
On this broadcast here.
I'll watch the
Reason
ads
being
hands
is
up.
because prior I had made a video talking about a couple of things. One of them was Aiden Ross when he showed porn to his audience. My statement was that Aiden Ross went on Pornhub in front of his audience, which a lot of them are kids on the younger side of things. So I said that was weird. That was a weird thing to do. So when I giggled during the Fansly segment, it was used as a smoking gun to call out and attack me for being a hypocrite. Because it's the same principle. Fansly was just shown on stream to an audience that undoubtedly had kids watching. How is that any different than Aiden Ross going on Pornhub? Charlie is a fucking hypocrite. He called it out for Aiden Ross, but doesn't do it when it's his friend QT Cinderella. When I first heard this argument, I thought it was just a bunch of fish paste. I thought it was being used satirically, because it didn't even compute that people would try to compare these two things. Going on an actual legitimate Pornhub
Yes, that is absolutely fucking insane. Okay? That is fucking insane. Making a comparison to Aiden Ross purposely and willingly fucking showing, knowingly showing pornographic material on his stream literally is not only completely ridiculous, but maybe even possibly illegal. Okay? And we're not talking about like, oops, I clicked on a link and I saw horse cock. Okay? I'm not talking about some Forsen shit. I was a big advocate for Forsen not getting banned, especially not having a long-ass fucking ban when that happened. It's not like I am friends with Forsen or even have similar worldviews with him or anything like that. But I thought that it was a wild thing that he was banned for a month at the time. You can go back and find clips of me talking about it. I thought that it was fucking ridiculous. Okay? Clicking on a link and accidentally showing something is, again, very different than openly, knowingly, and deliberately turning on porn. Okay? On your stream. I think there's a genuine concern of gamification of this kind of porn and also addictive nature of parasocial relationships that especially young minds are vulnerable to. In that way, I can see there being a similar ethical concern around this form of entertainment as we do apply to gambling. What you're describing is literally just Twitch streaming too, though. You understand that, right? Like, the ethics conversation doesn't go away. You're describing social media. The only issue you have with that is that it's porn on top of everything else. The issue you have, once again, in many respects, is around sex and the portrayal of sex and not all the other stuff that you added onto it, because all the other stuff that you added onto it is an issue that is almost universal. What's up, bro? Are you leaving? Where are you going? Akşam yemeği yiyelim hep beraber istiyorsan. Okay. All right. Have fun. All right.
out of nowhere in front of your audience and just having porn, real porn being played versus an advertisement, which does lead to porn, but the advertisement itself has more clothes on than a lot of things that are already freely broadcast on Twitch that are easily accessible. I didn't think these two things deserve.
Not everyone watching wants to see porn on their gamer streams. A safe for work ad is way less offensive. What do you mean? Yeah, I mean, yeah, that there's also the consent conversation, because like you might not want to see that, you know what I mean? But I guess that's a little bit larger of a philosophical debate. My friend, I know, I am aware, I've been live this entire time. I know that Israel stormed the Al Aqsa Mosque. If you think that 9 hours in, I'm going to cover breaking news, okay, I'm going to let you know there's nothing I can do about it, and I will not be covering it until tomorrow, okay? It's literally 9 hours into a stream, El Grumpion, okay? Not all Fansly accounts are porn. I don't know why it all gets lumped in together. I mean, yeah, but it's like softcore for the most part. It's like OnlyFans. OnlyFans has non-pornographic material on it too, but it doesn't matter. Like the primary consumption for the website is mostly porn. In many respects, the reason why Twitch is not considered a porn site is because it doesn't allow hardcore pornography or even softcore pornography. The most it will allow is, hot tub streams, which could be considered a form of sex work, but certainly nowhere near the same barrier of entry. That's because porn sites are regulated in an entirely different manner. And they should be regulated in an entirely different manner, for the record, because there are a lot of ethical issues that arise when you are hosting pornographic material on your website. Look no further than the complications that Pornhub got into when they let shit fucking slide for many, many years, despite the fact that sex workers, porn stars themselves, routinely demanded Pornhub take action. Okay? They didn't do that until push came to shove and a bunch of fucking psychotic Christian zealots decided to take matters in their own goddamn hands. Because, of course, no matter what happens, Pornhub is run by MindGeek, run by a capitalist corporation that's not going to fucking do the right thing until it has to. Okay?
Deserve to be on the same playing field, but that's where I was wrong. I clearly failed the CAPTCHA here and was labeled a bot because a lot of people do view these in the same category, in the same wheelhouse. A YouTuber named MewKitty made a whole video on it talking about Twitch streamers and their hypocrisy, a video that I make an appearance in towards the end, and it's exactly what I just talked about, where I said it was weird when Aiden Ross pulled up Pornhub, but I laughed
This is the schizo video, I suspect.
when Fansly was a sponsor
I am here for some reason.
of the Streamer Awards. And not long after her video, Scott Schaefer made content covering the same topic where, once again, the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 superstar Charles White comes into the frame once again with another banger cameo. And the argument is the same. Charlie called it out when Aiden Ross pulled up real porn, but didn't call it out when QT Cinderella advertised porn. And he did it because she's his friend, thus he is a hypocrite. And on stream I talked about this last night.
Yeah, this is Charlie's worst. I think this is Charlie's worst quality. You're so right about this, M. Hood. Charlie is addicted to saying the names of the biggest clout-hungry motherfuckers. I don't know why he does this. Perhaps it's because he hasn't really been shit on that aggressively as the foremost commentary channel on YouTube that has been able to ride the waves without getting harmed too much. But I genuinely don't understand why he will offer people who are very clearly rage bait, hate farming, a massive, perhaps the largest fucking content. It's odd. It is odd. I don't know why he does that. He likes to dunk on them. You can dunk on them without giving them any sort of credence or any sort of fucking clout. Let's be real. It's really, really, especially because to be fair, a lot of clout chasers aren't as unhinged as the type of ones we've dealt with that have aggressive communities that will latch on to any comment about them and harass you for multiple years. True. Certainly true. But I do think that it's because Charlie hasn't upset those communities yet. One day he might, and then when that happens, he will probably learn the hard way not to do that ever again.
And I'll go ahead and get this out of the way right away. During that stream, and in the exact same video MewKitty has posted on one of her channels, I outright say both are bad. It's pretty clear from reading her comments, not her personal comments, but the audience comments, that the majority of the people didn't even watch the full statement. Which isn't her fault, and I even don't blame the audience, because right now, the human race is being plagued by brain rot, parasite, short-form content, which has ruined the attention span of people.
It's also the fact that he's platforming people without huge core communities. Their presence is on life support, and it's him. Yeah, I don't think he recognizes that he does that. But I think that, or maybe he, lends a helping hand so he knows that they won't fucking target him as much. Especially when, people do that shit when he's well, I understand where you're coming from with this. I understand where you're coming from with this. When you say that about someone who's a clout-hungry content creator who knows that you have an untarnished reputation regardless by all of the clout farmers or the hate farmers, they probably will think twice before attacking you next time. So I assume that there's a tactical advantage on that end too. Like I don't think it's like you know, I don't think it's you know, as naive. And for people saying like just don't think he cares or all this shit, like I don't, you know, I don't think so. I think he does. I think he's like doing it tactically. There was another point that I was going to make and I'm not remembering. Oh, someone said, aren't all content creators clout perverts? Okay. Yes, they are. Another thing I routinely talk about is that there are two different types of networking on the internet, positive networking and negative networking. Okay. If you're going to think about it like clout or networking, one thing you can do is just like be an otherwise fun person to be around, be a social person, genuinely, you know, make content that people want to watch, make content that is like otherwise interesting, unique, different. Or there's the other route, which is farm hatred, target communities with pre-existing hater audiences, specifically so you can develop an audience of your own off of the backs of the haters that hate the other much larger content creator. You could say that I do the same thing for Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder. There's obviously an additional reason. I ideologically am not aligned with the likes of Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder. This is part of the reason why I criticize them regularly, because I think that what they're doing is bad, what they're doing is immoral, what they're doing is wrong. One might make the same argument about myself, but they rarely ever talk about what that is on real terms, in the same way that I can describe to you what is really, truly so awful about Ben Shapiro. Does that make sense? I can tell you exactly what's wrong about Ben Shapiro's worldview. I can tell you that about most right-wingers. Many people, when they talk about how bad I am, they might even say, I agree with him. I just think his vibes are shitty. And then you look at their YouTube channel and they've made like 100 videos and, you know, 25 of them are of me. And those are the only ones that have gotten the highest amount of views. And they're oftentimes very, very, don't have sex with a male streamer. If you're a streamer, you will be screwed. Deflecting, stop deflecting. The formula is the same, but the intention is different. There's a system in place to elevate drama, but why you get involved is important. Anyway. So, as I was stating, a lot of people basically tackle the issues that aren't really issues in most circumstances, that large streamers or people who have been declared the main person on Twitter, or you know, the main villain on internet by internet standards, specifically so they can ride the waves of the hate that person is receiving to elevate their own brand. That's fine. I don't think that that is a successful way to build an audience for yourself, and plenty of people that do that are not doing a good job with it. There's a difference between you and CoffeeZilla. There's a difference between you and Danny Gonzalez. There's a difference between you and Cody Ko, even Ethan Klein, right? The people that you're picking and choosing to criticize and attack, you're not doing a good job with, because you're just going after the flavor of the month. You do not have an ideological reason for going after them. You're just doing it because other people are going after them for one reason or the other. Does that make sense? Your reason for attacking Crowder and Shapiro is a good one, though. You point out their bullshit and educators combating terrible shit. Yeah. And when Steven Crowder falls off, or Steven Crowder does not have the same level of prominence, I stop talking about him. There are Nazis that I will refuse to talk about until it reaches a point where their platform is so elevated that I have to address it. The reason why I do that is because I care about who I am elevating. Does that make sense? Are we bashing on Charlie? No. I'm not bashing on Charlie. I am, however, criticizing him on this note. I don't like that he does this. And he does it all the time. And I think he does it for a specific reason. I think he does it so that those guys don't come after him, and that he, you know, they just don't give him the same headaches that they give to other people who they might have an ideological difference with. Charlie is a Nazi then? No, I never said that. You're being a fucking weirdo freak. Or at least a drama pervert, and trying to get me to be clipped out of context. I don't believe that at all. What the fuck is wrong with you? Anyway.
So I don't necessarily find it shocking that they didn't watch all 10 minutes of what I was saying. But in that clip, I outright say both can be bad, but they are not the same to me. Thus, I disagree that it's hypocritical that I made statements about Aiden Ross and the porn thing being really weird, and I didn't make the exact same statements for QT Cinderella's Fansly sponsor. I'll go ahead and prove that it's there right now, real quick, before getting into why I think they're so different, but ultimately both are not a great thing to be advertising to an.
How are you calling out drama posters but spent forever on a big news day engaging with fake Fansly outrage? Maybe because I spent the first 8 hours and 30 minutes of this 9-hour broadcast covering the big news of the day, and I'm now allocating the last 30 minutes of this broadcast to some drama that I guess I was involved in without even realizing, considering that this has like fucking 2.8 million views and I didn't even know about it. Do you think so? Do you think that's adequate, my lord?
Audience that is undoubtedly going to have children watching. Of course, advertising Fansly, OnlyFans, or anything in front of an audience that has younger children on it, it's always going to be not a great decision. It's one of those things, yeah. Now let's make like an egg and hard boil this subject real quick. So, the difference between Aiden Ross pulling up Pornhub and QT Cinderella bringing up a Fansly sponsor is very clear right off rip. If all of you in the classroom right now have your thinking caps on, you'll notice a huge difference. I was able to play the entire Fansly ad as it aired because they are all clothed. You are not getting immediate nudity or pornographic content. It is an advertisement for pornographic content going to the website, yes, but unlike Aiden Ross's moment with real Pornhub just being their actual fucking full-blown porn, you got pussy, tits, everything all right there immediately. That is not what you got with the QT Cinderella Fansly sponsorship. Thus, immediately, those two are already different. Showing the porn to an unsuspecting audience out of fucking nowhere is a lot worse than advertising a service that has porn on it. And that's something Scott Schaefer does touch on in his video. His is more of a deeper look at the subject, and MewKitty's is more memeing with it. I always thought her content was supposed to be silly and over-the-top trolling, but she does seem genuinely upset at me, and I imagine.
Yeah, Charlie's been sponsored by Adam and Eve, yes. Dude, he has the fattest fucking cocks anyone's ever seen that he like rides on.
Imagine it's because of my statements, and I also did say I'm not the biggest fan of the way she edits her content. I called it Zoomer editing, which sounds mean-spirited when I really didn't mean it to be. She edits her videos like very chaotic, on purpose, where it's a lot of sound effects, like a fucking gong being.
Yeah, this is the reason why so many people have a charitable opinion of Charlie, because he gives charity to people that, in my opinion, are very deliberately and maliciously cutting content that they want to make to drive hate clicks. And he turns around and gives them charity. So I think that they don't do that to him ever again. It's probably a very successful way to keep a lot of the other smaller commentator channels at bay. Very diplomatic. I don't think it's a good thing to do. I think not responding to it, not feeding the trolls, if you will, is a better way to make sure that this space is a little bit more habitable. But anyway, he would have been called a bigger hypocrite if he didn't respond at all. There's a way to respond to this without responding to it like that, in my opinion. Like, this has turned into, I guess, legitimate conflict. I wasn't even familiar or aware of what the fuck was going on. You're wrong. This is why you have more haters. My friend, like, suckling on the teat of every single person that comes in and says unhinged shit against me and against others, my friends, against other content creators who I don't know but I think haven't done anything wrong, is going to create an incredibly toxic space. As a large content creator myself, my goal is to not do that. I'm sorry. Especially when this kind of stuff doesn't end with like someone making a YouTube video, but instead, doxing, swatting, harassment of family members, harassment of other friends, harassment of normies in their lives. And as far as like just protecting the top streamers goes, this was the most important part that I forgot to mention. A lot of this kind of commentary is done under the guise of accountability. Okay? As a content creator, I know that that's not the case. There is a way to engage in constructive criticism. And then there is a malicious way to farm hate clicks. It's a very easy way to say, oh, these guys are farming hate clicks. That's why I'm not talking about it. But for the longest time, I was a firm believer in tackling these issues head on. That is the reason why I have such a vast array of different forms of haters from all different circles and ideological backgrounds. Because I gave in to the perverts. I tackled it head on. I tried to turn around and say, you're wrong. Here's what the truth is. And then I realized it's not about that at all. Every single time you tackle it head on, you're literally just engaging with people that aren't really interested in the truth at all. They're not. Most circumstances, they do not care about the truth. All you're doing is offering people a larger audience so they can create more content off of it because they just want drama and publicity. And I know that maybe even after speaking on these kinds of issues for as long as I have, I probably have less charitability for any kind of interlocutor because I have no capacity of viewing constructive criticism from that lens. And I'm sure that there are people out there that engage in good faith constructive criticism, but as soon as I see it, I shut it off. Probably one of the worst aspects of it. It's the same as the way I conduct this chat, right? I have usually a 10-minute follow period. That's it. You follow me for 10 minutes, you can write in this chat. You can speak all day, every day. A lot of people take advantage of that. I want to make sure that this is as democratic a process as possible. I want to make sure that there's no subscriber only paywall. I want you to be able to contribute to the conversation. I want you to be able to ask me questions. A lot of people often will use that to address their narcissistic desires. They don't care about learning about a new thing. They don't care about a genuine issue that's in their lives politically. They utilize this to come in and say, you did this. Actually, I'm not even going to mention one of the people that we just banned. Like, I saw the mods ban a person. I'm not even going to do that. I'm not even going to fucking mention it. Okay? But there are people who take advantage of that and they try to derail the content. I haven't stopped the way that I operate because I don't want those guys to ruin this. Okay? But it's the same way I see commentary and accountability on the internet. I wish that we could all be more charitable to one another. Charitability is something that I definitely try to, maybe even fail sometimes, but try to instill in myself, in my audience, whenever I see someone who is behaving in a manner that is inconsistent with my worldview, okay? But that doesn't mean I'm going to sit here and, let people shit on me with false allegations or just like completely made up bullshit that they made up in their minds or heard from other spaces that they're inside of that are pumping their head full of anger and fake bullshit. Okay? In a lot of circumstances, like I said, in the commentary space, there are plenty of wonderful people, awesome content creators. And then there are people who like to go after what they perceive as easy targets because other people are shitting on them. Sometimes those people are deserving of the criticism. In a lot of instances, those people might be deserving of the criticism. And then there are plenty of instances where they're not. I think that people, especially large content creators, should have a better moral compass on who they are lending credence and legitimacy to. I saw someone I've known online for 11 years say some seriously nasty shit about you, and it's completely based on his thought that he's anonymous, so I DM'd him with his full name and said it's time to stop posting now. Yeah. Never argue with an idiot. They'll drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. Yeah. Let's
Getting hit pretty often, or like really loud blasting music pretty often, and that's just never been my cup of tea. But I never meant it as an insult on her honor. It's just not something that I'm personally a huge fan of, the same way that she doesn't like my content. I didn't mean it to be mean, and I apologize that it may have come across that way. I certainly didn't mean it to. But the whole point of me mentioning this right now is I do want to say that Scott Schaefer did also talk about the difference between playing porn versus advertising the Fansly. He did touch on that. Last night I made the comparison that the Fansly ad actually had more clothing on the people in it than what you would already find on Twitch right now in the hot tubs category, where it is bikinis and very
Hans X the Donnie, thank you for the tank of the subs.
revealing clothing. And that is a category that Twitch itself advertises. If you go to Twitch when you're not logged in, a lot of the recommended channels are hot tub streams, so Twitch itself does peddle content that is clearly sexually charged. My point with this statement was to draw the immediate comparison that this Fansly advertisement wasn't immediately exposing young viewers to sexually explicit material, and it's even more easily accessible for them on Twitch already by just going to the category right next to the fucking Just Chatting one. That was the whole point of that. That's something XQC didn't quite understand, calling me wrong, saying that there's not a bleached butthole right away or something on hot tubs category, thus checkmate. Hits me with the scholar's mate. That wasn't my point. My point was the ad itself didn't contain any explicit imagery or anything highly sexual, at least nothing that was worse than what is already currently being advertised on Twitch in that category. And when you go to Fansly, there is still not immediately ass and titties in your face right away. Thus, I didn't think by scanning the QR code, people would
Virtual
immediately
meal,
just
thank you
be
for the
fucking
25, get the
blasted
subs.
with porn all over the place, like Charles Xavier jacking into Cerebro. So I viewed the advertisement very differently than a lot of people, because even when you scan the QR code, you still don't immediately get porn. There's already a lot of degrees of separation and a lot of obstacles to go through, as opposed to Aiden Ross, which just pulled up porn as a jump scare during fucking stream, right? It to me, still is very different. I also was under the assumption that Fansly was only accessible to 18 plus after you verified your age. I don't use the platform. I thought you had to verify you were 18 plus in order to even get to the pornographic content. Thus, I thought it was even harder for children to have got porn out of that advertisement if they weren't of age. Not only would they have had to leave the platform to get it, they would then have to verify their age and make an account for it. I thought there was a lot of steps to it, making it very difficult for them. But according to some research now, it actually seems like Fansly is extremely easily accessible for anyone of any age. There's not a whole lot of security to it based on the things I've read, which is knowledge I didn't have last night. So, I made the comparison that the Fansly advertisement reminded me of all of the strip club billboards that are spaced around all of the major interstates. Anytime I go up north to Pennsylvania, there is hundreds of strip clubs being advertised, and on those advertisements, there are women in bikinis and very revealing lingerie. And they tell you exactly where to go for the strip club. Well, when you're driving through, there's a good chance a lot of those cars are going to have kids in it and see those advertisements. So I compared Fansly to a strip club billboard because, in principle, if Fansly worked the way I thought it did, where you had to be 18 years or older.
This part is fair, I think. Like, it's on Fansly to make sure that there's accurate safeguards in who gets to access their content. And I think after a certain point, there's always going to be people that can break through that access. But there needs to be a reasonable effort to ensure that there is like some level of safeguarding, right? Because, you know, you're never going to stop kids from looking up pornographic shit on the internet, right? Especially on websites where there's no safeguards at all. Ultimately, though, if you are to come to me and tell me that porn is worse than gambling, no, it's not. That's crazy. Porn is content. Content is content. Gambling is not content in the same way that porn is content. Gambling can be content, like, for example, when you watch Ocean's 11. In that regard, gambling is content. Do I think that children should not watch Ocean's 11? Of course not. I don't give a shit, okay? The idea that these two concepts could ever be brought together on a fucking video game website is mind-boggling to me. Why? It's mind-boggling to me because you know what else is content? Fucking video games. I thought as gamers, we all understood that the Hillary Clinton style video games are causing violence narrative was fucking idiotic. I thought that we all universally recognized that the idea of a violent video game causes violence in children was a stupid one. But for some weird reason, we lost touch with that reality. And now when it comes down to pornographic material, it's like, no, actually, porn is making people violent, or porn is making people sexually violent, or whatever the fuck. And that is really stupid. Okay? Yeah, it's like Tipper Gore style fucking attitude towards whatever kind of content people should be able to consume or should not. It's crazy. Weird.
Older to enter, it's kind of like a strip club advertisement because a kid could see that but still couldn't access the content because the strip club would obviously turn them away. Ideally, assuming you're not going to some kind of fucking shady, corrupt strip club. And I thought Fansly was the same way. But apparently that's not the case, so that comparison doesn't work anymore. And I recognize that now. And I also made the comparison to the old GoDaddy commercials, which were highly sexualized content that was broadcast during like Super Bowl, during sporting events, where it was things like a girl with huge honkers, her straps like breaking off, and like she's in a courtroom and like judges going, oh boy.
Dude, not even that. Fucking like Super Bowl commercials with like what's the fast food chain? Fuck, what is it? It's like a classic. Is it Hardee's or Carl's Jr.? Yeah. Like people have been using sex to sell. Sex sells is a huge, yeah, I mean, it's a cliche at this point. I don't understand. Since 1995, the U.S. sexual assault rate has dropped 44%. 95 is around when internet porn began becoming easily accessible. I mean, correlation does not mean causation, and I don't know. That I would need to see like an actual study on the matter. And I fear that most studies conducted on the matter are going to be done by either, websites that stand to make a lot of money off of a wide accessibility of porn to all ages versus psychotic Christian fundamentalists who think that if you jerk off one time, you're going to go to hell. So, I don't know. I would much rather trust the porn corporation over the psychotic fundamentalist because I know what the psychotic fundamentalist take is. It is one that does not align with my worldview. Oh, this is what I was thinking of. Yeah, Kate Upton. God, I'm so old. It was a 2014. My point of reference was a 2014 Super Bowl commercial with Kate Upton. Like, that's how fucking old I am, dude.
Southwest patty melt with jalapenos, pepper jack cheese, and spicy Santa Fe sauce.
Now that's a woman. That's an E1 reference.
Just got a whole lot hotter.
This breaks your oruch in two different ways. One, because you just nutted, and two, because it makes you want to eat a burger. Hoochie mama. Anyway, yeah, back during the Fabining when her and Verlander's news got leaked and his ass was bigger than hers. What? His ass was bigger than her? What the fuck? Anyway, humana. Again, there's like a lot of different conversations to be had on the subject. But I cannot state this enough. I do think that it's very, very stupid to constantly try to engage in this Tipper Gore style, weird, puritanical, censorship focused attitude that a lot of people have. And also on top of that, porn absolutely is nowhere near as damaging as gambling is. Okay? It's you need to moderate your consumption. You need to ensure that you're not going fucking bananas mode on it. If you have a problem, you might, and some people certainly do. Like, if you're one of those guys that's like, I stopped fucking watching porn because I was, tugging it fucking 10 times a day or whatever. Yeah, like, you should definitely stop watching porn. It seems like you had a serious issue. Okay? Like a serious fucking issue. Almost always, the people that talk about, how damaging porn is are talking about their own personal fucking issues with porn, and they just turn around and make it everybody else's issue for some weird reason. It's like, bro, that's a you thing. Okay? Maybe you should calm down. It's probably good that you stopped jerking off, Anyway.
Hubba. And then, like, she's trying to say something, and the other strap's, like, wiggling. And then it's like right when it breaks off
Oh
and
my
about to
God.
reveal the giant milkers, it says go to GoDaddy.com to finish it. And I wasn't really making a big point out of that. I just wanted to point out that, man, it really does feel like the early 2000s again with a lot of the internet arguments we get into these days. It's shit we've had for years. History really does kind of repeat itself. Because I do still think that's a pretty fair comparison. That's fundamentally like the same thing. The argument back then was, think of the children. They were watching this sport, and then all of a sudden, sexual content advertisement. So that's all I was really.
We don't need to minimize porn addiction to emphasize how gambling is worse. First of all, like, God, no, I'm not having this conversation, dude. If you're a porn addict, I'm glad you stopped watching, okay? Like, I am not going to advocate for abolition of not abolition, of prohibition because people get addicted to alcohol, okay? I myself have struggled with alcohol addiction. I'm very frank about that. It would be insane for me to go, oh, well, I didn't have a healthy relationship with alcohol, so no one should drink fucking alcohol, okay? That's insane because I'm not a fucking freak. You might be. I'm starting to get fucking pissed off, okay? This notion that everyone else's fucking issue, your issue is everyone else's issue now is a narcissistic, insanely fucking selfish, American exceptionalist take, okay? Sorry. Jesus Christ. I had the same rant on a stream a few weeks ago when we were making a little porn addiction joke. Yeah, it's just like so weird. And also, look at who you are aligning yourself with. All of the fucking anti-porn weirdos are such unhinged fucking freaks, dude. You don't ever look at those guys and go, God damn, these are the guys I'm with? Like you're like with Aiden Ross and surprisingly Andrew Tate, even though he's a fucking grifter and literally was creating unconsensual pornographic material, allegedly, according to the Romanian court system, at least. Like, come on now. It's also just so funny for me. It's not like someone's being like, you're being ableist. It's just guys speaking up going, yo, I couldn't stop jerking off for months. You're making fun of me, bastard. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, you're not even like targeting like a specific thing in that regard. Anyway.
Saying with that one. But yeah, in closing, I feel like there is no real good faith argument to be made that I'm hypocritical because I called Aiden Ross pulling up Pornhub weird and didn't immediately start calling out how weird it was for Fansly to be a sponsor of the Streamer Awards. I feel like the two are.
I mean, he took this issue that's like that he could have made like a much larger conversation about and just only talked about his own perspective and how he's like not hypocritical. Which kind of in a weird way dumps a lot of offsets a lot of the fucking blame over to Cutie Cinderella and others. You know what I mean? He's not doing that actually. I'm not gonna say that. I don't think he's like dumping all of the major point of contention over to other people, but like he is purposely fucking washing himself away from this. It is a lukewarm take. It is a very centrist take. And especially odd coming from a guy who has Adam and Eve sponsorships, which he neglected to mention in this YouTube video, which I don't think is sponsored by Adam and Eve, but, you know, others have been. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, come on. You clearly have your own personal boundaries on this issue. I think you should be more open and more honest about it. Like, own it, you know? Own it. There's nothing wrong with it. There's literally nothing wrong with it. I say this as someone who's never actually had a pornographic sponsorship or a sex work sponsorship, who has personally defended sex work and has been getting absolutely fucking ass railed by some of the most unhinged, psychopathic, schizophrenic radfems, turfs, and swerfs nonstop for it.
Aren't really comparable. Blasting porn, real porn, immediately to your audience out of nowhere, no warning, and right in their face, just on stream, is completely.
Adam and Eve is not a pornography website. It's for sex toys. It's still sex work though. I mean, there's like an element of sex toys. What do you mean? You think those guys fucking don't? You think the very same people have no issue with sex work? Who the fuck is literally drawing the line at porn, but are like, hey, you know what though? The same like pussies that the porn stars make, the same molded pussies that the fucking porn stars make, that's fine actually. We don't have an issue with that. Like, come on. And if you think that, I mean, I don't know anything about Adam and Eve, but I suspect they sell more than just sex toys. I suspect. Maybe they don't though. Sex toys and porn are conflated. Who is selling the fucking sex toys, brother? What the fuck do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? I can't speak on Adam and Eve in particular, but if you think that like Adam and Eve or sex toys in general are not made of like pussy molds of specific porn stars, for example, I don't know what to tell you. They used to sell DVDs. Maybe they still do. I don't think they do anyway. I mean, stores are probably fine with sex toys, but not porn. I know. They sell adult games and male masturbators, dildos, sex games and books, oral sex toys, batteries and accessories, pussy pumps, lubes and sexual wellness, lingerie, sex toys, women's sex toys, vibrators, which, by the way, I have no issue with. I think it's great. It's awesome. Okay? You know too much? I'm literally looking at it right now. Like, they sell love dolls, brother. What is this? Rebecca Love. Miko Realistic Love Doll. Blow-ups Granny Love Doll? What the fuck? Wait, what? I gotta show you this. What the hell is this? Is not TOS. What the fuck is this, bro? Anyway, again, people love fucking talk about perceived hypocrisy. There's no hypocrisy here. I want to state this one more time, maybe 10 more times. Okay? There's nothing hypocritical about what Charlie's doing. I don't think that there's anything hypocritical about doing sex work, advocating for sex work, selling sex toys, being sponsored by Adam and Eve. There's no issue there. Okay? Why are you giving this argument air? It's disingenuous outrage from Aiden Trainwreck stands trying to push back on Aiden's kick porn streams. I know. I realize that is what people are upset about, which is so ridiculous because as much as I am an advocate for sex work, I wouldn't just fucking throw on porn, okay, on the stream. Adam and Eve VOD is their porn video sub-site. They also have their own porn studio. You were looking at their main site. Okay, got it.
Different than an advertisement to a platform which does have porn, but a lot of things that they'd have to do in order to access it. Granted, I've now learned that it's easier than I thought it was. I still think the two are drastically different. So I still just don't think it's hypocritical. As I've said, neither one of them is great. I don't think either one of them is an amazing thing to do, but they are just not the same, and it's really fucking silly to pretend that they are. They are very different. And that's about it, really.
Anyone who thinks an ad to an adult site is the same as blasting porn on a stream is a lunatic. I know, but there are a lot of lunatics. And what do I always say? What do I always fucking say? When there is enough lunatics on the fucking website, when there's enough lunatics out there, it doesn't matter. They make the argument valid. And there are plenty of fucking freaks on the internet. Okay? No socialist would call themselves an advocate for sex work. You are literally supporting the exploitation of the working class, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you got it, bro. You're so right. You're right. You're right. Who have to sell their holes for a living dog. Always like, bro, we'll be talking about fucking literally like some American woman living in Iowa, okay, deciding to turn on a fucking webcam and play with her pussy, okay, to make money, more money than they ever have, okay, more money than they ever have made, and enjoy the process and enjoy the autonomy, okay? And then these motherfuckers are literally like, why are you advocating for sex slavery in the third world? It's like, of course I'm not advocating for that. Shut the fuck up. They just sell their holes. It's so fucking stupid. And when you say it's still exploitative, every aspect of work, every aspect of wage labor, or every aspect of labor as a commodity, labor as something that you're selling is still inherently exploitative under a global capitalist organization of the economy. Okay? Please, I am begging you to read sex workers, to talk to sex workers. At least watch one fucking YouTube video from a sex worker talking about their own perspective on the matter instead of whatever kind of rabid dog shit that you're seeing in the dumbass fucking places of the internet that you congregate in. Holy fuck. And there are plenty of sex workers who also are leftist, Marxist-Leninist, anti-capitalist. Shut the fuck up and just listen to what they have to say. But it's very difficult for you to escape the world in which you think that all matter of sexual intercourse happening under a patriarchal construct is akin to rape, pretty much. Sex is something that women are doing not for their own pleasure, but to pleasure you. It's always super heteronormative. That's why we never talk about like male performers. That's why we never talk about gay performers. That's why we never talk about trans performers. We only talk about how women are being fucked over because it's all swerfs for the most part that are dictating this conversation from their unhinged radlib perspective. Okay? It's so fucking frustrating. Clearly, someone who is being coerced into like sexual labor is not the same as someone who's consensually making the decision to do sex work on their own. Oh my fucking Lord. One is illegal, the other is not. One should be illegal, is incredibly fucked up, and the people doing it should be punished. Being sponsored by Adam and Eve, which is predominantly used to purchase sex toys on the internet, is the same thing as being sponsored by a website predominantly for porn. Can't get a clear take. Terrible posture. You're doing this thing where you think that I'm giving you an issue that it does not exist. I don't have a problem with Charlie getting sponsored by Adam and Eve. Do you think that that would be, I don't know, relevant to the point of contention if we're talking about hypocrisy, or if we're talking about people engaging in like sponsors that literally sell sex work in some way, shape, or form? Now that we have also found out that Adam and Eve is making sex toys that they sometimes collaborate with sex workers on, or that when Adam and Eve itself has a studio where they also are creating pornographic content, are you so desperate to have a conversation with your wife about how it's okay to purchase sex toys but not porn? Is that what the issue is here? Is it your own personal moral conundrum? Because there's a very easy solution here, okay? It's not bad. None of it's bad. This is the reason why I said, your wife and you. This seems like a you and your wife type of conversation to be had. Is it not economic coercion? There is no aspect of labor under a capitalist organization of the economy that does not pertain to economic coercion. We all make these decisions on a daily basis. Economic coercion is not going to be eradicated anytime soon, no matter what happens. You don't have a problem with the economic coercion side of the conversation. You have a problem with sex work if you are singling out sex work. Okay? You would not advocate to abolish restaurants as a concept in and of itself, because people that work in the restaurant business overwhelmingly are getting exploited and are at the bottom rung of economic coercion. They are the ones who suffer the most from it. You do not advocate to abolish the education system because teachers are getting fucking ass blasted nonstop. Everybody has bills. Everybody has debts to pay. Everyone is taking on a job that they don't need to do. The only difference is you're talking about abolition on a particular sector, specifically because it involves sex. You don't have an issue with work. You have an issue with sex work. Or you have an issue with work, but you have an extra issue with sex work. I hate this issue. I hate this issue so much. It's like, it's one that people have such a personal experience with, and it makes it almost impossible to have a serious, charitable, productive conversation around. It is so deeply personal, and it is unfortunately maddening. And I even understand where a lot of people come from with respect to what their perspective is. Okay? I support sex workers' right, but I do find personally that a lot of men who are enthusiastic sex work consumers tend to have extremely misogynistic views of women, but then again, that is related to patriarchy rather than sex work, and it's not the fault of sex workers themselves. Okay, but also, once again, that is anecdotal and your own personal opinion on the matter. I am a man, so I feel like I know more about women. I know more than women about when women are being exploited or not. No, I think I know a little bit more than you do about the subject matter of sex work because I actually listen to the women that do sex work rather than speak over them and rather than make up my mind on the issue. Just understand, okay? You are a woman, I suspect, not doing sex work, and you are speaking over women who are doing sex work by using me as a more penetrable and approachable a vector to shit on rather than actually tackle the issue on its own. That's why a lot of swerves, whenever they talk about fucking sex workers or whenever they talk to sex workers, will take this like incredibly paternalistic, patronizing tone, like they don't know any better, like you're a victim. Let me save you. Let me save you, you victim. And everyone understands where that's coming from. Okay? Have you ever talked to a male sex worker? Yes, of course I've talked to male sex workers as well. I used to be anti-sex work, pro-sex workers, but you changed my mind and helped me realize that my grievances with the industry are rooted in misogyny and not with the sex itself. Yes, in more circumstances, in a lot of these circumstances, it often comes from structural issues that you are you're upset at, but you're using sex work as a vector. And it's a very easy one to target, very easy one to shit on, because there's no defense for them. Half the time, even in otherwise like progressive spaces, when you choose to defend sex workers, people call you a fucking rapist. So, you know, because the people that don't want you to defend sex workers are so fucking unhinged and so insane and so motivated that they make it personally impossible to discuss openly. It's fucking nuts.